Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 fell more than 1% today to 7,138 points, following a pretty poor lead-in from Wall Street. While the tech stocks did okay, and the healthcare and utility sub-indices all closed in the black, everything else looked pretty bad. Financials and materials companies were worst. Most of the negativity is around the ongoing saga of whether the US government will be able to pay its bills from next week by lifting its debt ceiling. It was a proverbial sea of red. Gold digger Northern Resources fell 3.6%. That was the worst of the large caps, while iron ore giant Fortescue was off more than 3%. BHP and Rio were both off more than 1.5%. ANZ led the banks lower, losing 2.5%, while Macquarie Group, Commonwealth Bank and National Australia Bank were all off more than 2%. It was the defensive stocks that did best: CSL, Woolworths, Coles and WiseTech Global. All in all, a pretty rough day. Story number 2, the US, the world's largest economy, has been put on credit ratings watch as the negotiations between House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden drag on over lifting the country's debt ceiling. McCarthy did say a deal was possible, but Fitch Rating placed the US's AAA credit rating on watch. That's dragged on global markets with equities down and a general shift towards safer assets. One casualty has been the Aussie dollar, at least against the greenback, which is now trading at not much over 65 US cents. That's its lowest since November last year. Story number 3, Mike Cannon-Brookes is close to securing a deal to acquire Sun Cable, beating out billionaire rival Andrew Forrest for the $35 billion clean energy mega project in Northern Australia. That's according to a report in The Australian. The project was placed into voluntary administration in January after Dr. Forrest and Mr. Cannon-Brookes clashed over funding, management and strategy of the company. Apparently the deal is close to completion and Mr. Cannon-Brookes is on course to win. A victory for Mr. Cannon-Brookes would revive Sun Cable's original business plan on exporting solar-generated electricity to Singapore via a near 5,000-kilometre undersea cable to provide cheap electricity to Singapore. But scepticism over the viability of the undersea cable continues. At 4,200 kilometres, the link to Singapore would be more than 5 times bigger than the longest submarine link yet proposed. Story number 4, shares in agribusiness Costa jumped more than 7% after the group predicted that its 2023 harvest in China and Morocco will generate strong returns. Costa has become a very global business, and that's fortunate because its domestic growing has been hit by extreme weather, which hurt its overall performance last year. At its annual general meeting today, Chair Neil Chatfield said the international operations were on track for an improved performance. He highlighted new blueberry variety plantings in China and Morocco. Costa is targeting 700 planted hectares by 2026 in China, while in Morocco, it's replanting its northern farms with premium Costa blueberry varieties. And finally, story number 5, chip maker Nvidia's share price surged on Wall Street in after-hours trading after it said booming demand for artificial intelligence processors pushed sales well beyond expectations. We talk a lot about big tech stocks, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, which owns Google. Nvidia's in that league. In fact, it's bigger than Meta, bigger than Tesla, but consumers don't buy computer chips, so we just don't hear as much about it. Nvidia is now the 5th largest stock on Wall Street, and overnight said sales in the 3 months ending July will be about $11 billion US. That's about 50% higher than investors expected. Nvidia is benefiting from the AI frenzy and has positioned itself as the top provider of components for training artificial intelligence software. That's it for the afternoon report for Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.